coming back to school with me. We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm the board game teacher. Thanks for coming to the classroom. Today I'm going to take a look at a game which, honestly, for a game which is designed and geared and targeted towards children, I've never been so excited about a game like this until I've seen this one here, Stuffed Fables. Stuffed Fables is a game designed by Jerry Hawthorne and published by Plaid Hat Games. It plays between 2 to 4 players, although you could include a 5th player if you have one person who is sort of narrating and maybe doing most of the reading. It depends a lot on how your group structure is going to work, because the amount of reading that there is, sometimes you might want an adult to just be facilitating and letting the kids play, but then the adult could also be involved in the play as well. Now, I'm not going to be doing a report card for this game like I do all the other games on my channel, because this isn't a game that I would recommend for a classroom, not by a long shot. There's just too much going on in this game, too involved to be something that would be appropriate for classroom use. But, as I said, I've not been more excited by a game for kids than before I've seen this one, and that's because I think this is a fantastic game to play at home with families. There's just a lot of goodness in this game, and I'm really excited to share this one with you. So let me just get right to talking about some of the good things that are in it. First off is the reading. In the game is a story that evolves and develops and is in different chapters, even though the different chapters are each called a story. So you have story 1, story 2, story 3, and so on. There's a lot of reading that goes in behind it, and so the players can take turns reading, as well as maybe, as I said, a facilitating adult if you were playing with younger kids. Like, I'm currently playing this game with Timothy at home, and so he can read, actually. He reads very well for somebody who's only 6 years old, but to do all the reading in the game would be perhaps too much for him, particularly when it comes to the comprehension and everything. So he prefers that I do most of the reading, and I get him to read from time to time. There's also some simple mathematics in the game, rolling of dice, adding the numbers of the dice, so those kinds of things. Not heavy math, but certainly there is math that's there. There's also learning to read a map in the game. The game comes with several different maps, and looking where things are on the map, moving across the maps and such. So some map reading skills in there. But where this game really shines is in the lessons that it teaches in a moral sense. So first off, we're talking about a cooperative game here. So we're getting back into that whole area where we're looking at skills like collaboration, cooperation, communication, critical thinking, and problem solving. All those 21st century competencies are definitely displayed in this game. But there's also, throughout the game, moral lessons that people learn. You're doing things sometimes to help other people. So sometimes you're helping just because it's the right thing to do. There was actually a whole video on the psychology behind this game, and they had a psychology professor come in to talk with Jerry Hawthorne and Colby Dowk, who is the CEO of Plaid Hat Games, about all the psychology behind this. There's a lot happening here, including things like extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation, like are kids doing something because they're getting a reward or because it's just the right thing to do. Those kinds of good lessons are taught in here within this game, believe it or not. And so I will put a link to that other video with the psychology down below, so be sure to check that one out. A fable is, in and of itself, a moral lesson that is learned through a story, usually involving animals, and in this case, no different. What's wonderful about the story, too, is that it's like a choose-your-own-adventure. As you go through the game, there's different junctures where if you make it to a certain point, then you go to this story. But if you don't make it to that point, you go to a different part of the story. So even in the replayability, there's going to be options to try it again and see, well, what happens if we make it here? You're meeting different characters along the way, other lost stuffed animals, and how you interact with them. Do you help them? Do you not help them? And what happens as a result of helping them or not can also give you different choices and to be making throughout, and things, discussion points. And in that too, after certain points in the story, there are discussion questions that you can talk to your kids about after playing this game. So it opens up opportunities to discuss, how did you feel about this, and what do you think about this? And it opens up the lines of communication between parents and kids. So inside the box of Stuffed Fables, this is the main book here that you'll be getting. This isn't the rule book. There's actually a much thinner rule book. And I'll explain how this works. You're going to be getting a lot of cards, some dice, little buttons, which are a currency of the game, as well as some models, some little plastic miniatures, which are beautiful miniatures, and you can paint yourself, as I've done here, if you so choose, or not to. To me, I just find I prefer a game. To me, it enhances the gameplay to have the miniatures painted. But this is what I want to focus on right now, is this part right here, which is the main book. So as you begin your game of Stuffed Fables, as you play for the first time, you'll turn over here and you'll see the story starting to unfold. So you see, as I mentioned before, this is the little girl who is the focus of the story coming into her new bed, and the first story is called The Big Girl Bed. And it has these things which, it gives you the instructions. The bookkeeper reads the following, and it gives you the parts to read. It tells you what parts you need to go to, what pages, etc. So it's going to eventually tell you then to go on to the next page, and this is where it gets really amazing. So as the story unfolds, you're going to be in different locations. And in the different locations, you can see that this is one that you play on because it's divided into squares. Each square represents a different space for movement, and calculating your movement, as well as calculating range for any ranged weapons, and any obstacles and things that might be in the room that you have to maneuver around. And again, you then start at the top. The bookkeeper reads the following, and you read the part, and it's going to tell you which parts to go to. It's going to tell you what the different symbols on the thing mean, what the different colored lines mean. Any of the rules which are particular to this page will be on here, and we'll explain what they mean. And what's another nice little feature that they have is they have these Q codes which you can scan. So if you're unsure of something, you can use your smart device to scan this Q code, which will then take you to a YouTube link for Watch It Played, where Rodney Smith will explain that particular section and how it works. So I thought that was a very nice feature. So as I said, the game will then sort of proceed. You have many, many maps, many things to look forward to, many parts of many different stories, and you play your way through. I'm sure, like as I say, you'll be getting many hours of enjoyment, definitely your money's worth in this book right here. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Hopefully you saw something in Stuffed Fables that caught your interest, and hopefully you run out and get your own copy of this, because as I said, I cannot recommend this game enough. I think it is a fantastic game, and Timothy and I have had a great time playing it together. Every time we get together now, he's always asking me to play this game with him. I think for the money that you're spending on this game, it's roughly about $60, $70. You're going to get so much value for your money in the time that you're spending playing this game and reading and having fun with your kids. And what's great about this game too is that it's, sometimes you'll be playing a game with your kids and you're playing it with them because you just want to spend time with your kids, but it's not really fun for you. You're doing it just for them. This game is fun. I enjoy playing this game just as much as Timothy does, and the fact that we're doing it together makes it all the better. So, as I say, a fantastic game, and one that I think that I would recommend for any family with young kids. So until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, the board game teacher, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?